So the first thing I'm going to share with you is something that I tend to use a lot of in the salon, and I talk a lot about making sure that we don't repeat ourselves when we're in the salon, that we don't get into this kind of this circle, this rut of working, that we all our clients start to look the same because we use the same technique. But this technique I do use a lot, but I can use this technique on many different lengths. So from something that's kind of a little bit sort of there, collarbone, all the way up to a very short shape. And fundamentally it's round graduation, but it's round graduation that's built up on top of some structure, so on top of a line. So it's a great technique for giving volume, giving shape, adds volume to fine hair. It controls very thick hair, gives it a nice silhouette. But as I say, it's really super flexible, and it's something that I use quite often in the salon. But as I say, on many different lengths, different shapes. It's not a haircut in itself, it's just a technique and an approach. And it's one of the most valuable things I think I have in my salon repertoire. So I'm going to share this one with you now. I'm going to do it on a kind of a long bob length, just so you can see it in a very simple form. And I think from there you'll be able to imagine it in different lengths and on different shapes. So fundamentally it's a round graduation technique, but it's built on top of a line. So that's where we'll start. I'm going to start with the line in place. I'm going to work up to the top of the ears, and then we'll begin the technique. Okay guys, so let's start the line. Working with my sectioning, my comb, everything on the same angle. Working below the comb there. Usually I guess I would work this on the skin, but it's quite a long length, so it's quite nice to work just through the comb, especially because usually we're going to be working with a little bit more shape in the neck than we get on a mannequin. As always though, as we come into this area behind the ear, reposition the head to make sure the chin's upright, just perhaps leaning over to the side, and again line the comb up, project your line with the comb, and then simply cut below. So using my comb all the time to kind of project my line, so I understand exactly where that line's going to go. Again, the same on this side. You can see I'm just using this end of the comb and then this side of the comb, using that to project my line, so I can understand exactly where the length and line is going to be. I'll bring her back center and I can check my lengths. They're all good. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that section twice more to take us up to the top of the ears. Okay, so with the line established, whatever that line is, whatever length or angle that might be, we're going to start to build the shape off the line. So we have our structure, so it's important that I've worked enough weight into that line to hold the structure. And now I'm going to round off above that. So this is graduation that sits above a strong line, okay? So I'm going to work through with square sections as if we were carrying on doing a line. So very simple, clean square sections. I think this is perhaps the easiest way of illustrating the technique to you. But as I say, it's not a haircut, so we could do this on many different lengths, many different shapes. And what I'm going to do now is, rather than work everything down one length without any elevation, I'm going to start to elevate this section, and I'm going to start to create graduation just through the centre back of the section. So I'm going to elevate the hair like so, away from the head, and follow my guideline. So I'm not, though, going to follow my guideline the whole way along my previous cutting line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow this cutting line to just run off the guide on the underneath. So now, when I let this hair down, you'll be able to see perhaps a little that you don't see any overhang here, but just here, that's where my shape will be one length again. So through the centre back, I'll have this slight graduation. Then from the round of the head forwards is going to be all one length again. And then with each subsequent section, what I will begin to do is start to push that graduation a little bit further along the line, and also elevate a little bit higher each time. And you'll see that the graduation will grow, and as the graduation grows, the volume in the shape will grow as well. So, working with the natural fall, as always. Now extending the line, whatever that line may be. In our case here, we're using the simplest example of just a square line. So as we discussed before, making sure that the comb is projecting our line so we get a clear vision of where our finished length and line will be. Clean my section up on this side, it's fallen down. So the size of the section is going to depend very much on your client that you have in the chair, how thick her hair is, how fine it is. Of course, we always need to be able to see the guide, so you're going to judge your sections accordingly. So here, let's just pick up again in the back. Just fallen asleep on me. Pick up. Let's just pick up here in the back. And I'm going to follow my guide round to about here on the head, and then let the line just run off and overhang the line. So now, when I comb that hair down, working with the natural fall, you can see perhaps that just here, that's where I've got some overhang on the line. So therefore, it's going to be one length from here forwards, but behind that, we've got a little bit of graduation. Again, using my comb to project the line. And of course, making sure I've got even tension, so that means even density, even moisture with every section. I'm going to come back to vertical and check the lengths for symmetry. And then we can move on. So my next section now, I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to elevate a little bit higher, and I'm going to push the graduation a little bit further along the line. So we're getting these kind of little elliptical sections of graduation in there. So the first one being quite small, second one growing, and with each elevation and each section we're pushing that graduation a little bit further along the line, so the graduation will grow and expand inside the shape. So the most important thing here is just trying to manage the amount of weight we've got in the outline. So making sure that we have enough structure in the outline before we allow graduation to sit above that line. If the hair's too weak in the outline and we introduce graduation over the top, then the outline, the structure, the shape will lose, and we'll have an unsuccessful haircut. So always that's paramount, that we have enough weight, structure and strength in the line before we allow that graduation to travel over the top of it. So here we are again, another section. Turn around. Take my last section as a guide. My previous section I held here. This time I'm going to come up a little bit higher, closer to 45 degrees. And here I will let my graduation travel a little bit further along the line. So now I'm going to let my line run out here. So now my graduation comes all the way to this point, to just behind the ear. So if I turn the head quickly, you should be able to see. That we don't see any hair overhanging the line until we're here now. So about a centimetre further along the line than we were last time. Again, using my comb to project to complete the line with even tension to get a nice clean sharp edge, making our allowances for the ears as we go. Let's do that on the second side again. This is where my graduation stopped previously, but now I'm going to continue following the line for another centimetre or so before letting the line run off and the lengths overhang our guideline. Let's check our symmetry. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more sections to take us up to the inside of the round of the head, Each time I'm going to push that graduation a little bit further along the line, reducing the amount of one length hair I have on the inside, but obviously increasing the graduation that starts to build inside the shape. Okay, so hopefully you can start to see that we've got this volume developing through here as the graduation starts to have an effect. It's starting to elevate the silhouette, and we're starting to get a much fuller shape through the bottom, the perimeter of the shape. So it's not triangular anymore, it's actually building up in a rounded shape. So as we progress now onto the top, we've worked as far as kind of the round of the head. I'm going to start to continue with those elevations. So if you remember, we started a little bit lower, and as we've worked up the shape, every section has been elevated a little bit higher. We haven't elevated above horizontal, and certainly not anywhere near perpendicular yet. The only time we're going to be straight out from the head or perpendicular will be our last section on the top. So I'm going to work with some incremental elevations now as we come up through the inside of the shape to fully round off the expanded shape. And as I do that, I'll continue to push that graduation a little bit further forwards each time. So the only one length point we'll have in the whole haircut at the end for this shape will be just at the very front there. Okay. So I'm going to work one side and then the other side now. Hopefully you can see there a little bit more of a kind of a fluidity to the process if I work like this. So each section, oops, excuse me. So each section held a little bit higher than the previous. And each time pushing the graduation a little bit further along the line. So I stopped just at the ears last time. I'm going to come a little bit further forwards than the ears now. So it's just here. Not sure if you can see that. Hopefully you can, but certainly as we drop that down now, you should be able to see that the only part that's we've got hair overhanging the line is from here forwards. So let's check that in. I'm trying not to use a lot of moisture here, so you can actually see the shape as it develops. Hopefully you can see that volume and fullness and softness that the graduation is giving to what would otherwise be a very simple shape. So again, previous section as a guide. I'm going to come up a little bit higher now. And again, with my increase in elevation, I'll have an increase in how far I push the graduation around towards the front. So we'll be coming as far as the temples, I think, here. We should just be leaving that very front here to check into one length. And then perhaps the penultimate section on the top, almost to the centre. I'll be lifting a little bit higher. If I turn the head, maybe you can see the elevation a little bit more clearly. So move this back a little. So quite a lot of elevation, but nice and even. So I'm trying to remember these elevations, trying to keep them nice and consistent between the two sides. If I don't, then for sure one side will be longer than the other. We do want a symmetrical shape, so really trying to manage those elevations, remember exactly where they are, and that's really pretty much why I work those elevations simultaneously, so working both sides together so I can manage the level of elevation through the shape. So my final section on this side is the centre, or almost. Yes, it is the centre. So I'm going to be almost vertical now with this section. Let me drop the head down so you can perhaps see a little bit more clearly. And so just that very front corner here. We can maintain as a one length point. So everything else has some graduation in there. Bring her back up a little bit. And as you do that, you can see the roundness we've got, the softness in the silhouette, and also the way that it helps the texture as well, it facilitates the texture. So I'm going to quickly do the other side in the same method, and then I'll come back and we'll cross-check together. Okay, so we've worked both sides independently. Now it's time to cross-check both of those sides into one another. Check that we've got a nice balance in length and that the internal shape is nice and round. So starting below the crown, where we left off when we were working both sides together, we're going to pick that section up there. Just check that that's all good. Nothing's changed. And now, as we work up through the inside, I'm going to progress forwards using horizontal sections, but each section lifted a little bit higher than the previous, so we maintain the roundness vertically, but also we're checking now the roundness horizontally inside the shape. So obviously checking for any hair we might have missed, but I guess more importantly the shape really, checking for symmetry, and also that we have a nice rounded shape through the inside, so a nice curve. As the shape gets a little longer towards the front, which of course it does, I'll be using a little over direction to ensure I don't cut off any length. But primarily, our main objective here is just making sure we have a nice balance between the two sides and that nice rounded internal structure. So that's looking good. I'll pop the head back up a little bit so you can see. And I'll bring her round to the front as well. Don't feel like I've been blessed with the best mannequin stand today. But let's come round to the front now and we'll check again for some symmetry. We're all good. So our only one length point is this very central point here, and obviously that's where the hair's the weakest. So again, we're trying to manage the weight in the perimeter the whole way around. So that's the haircut done. So let's blow dry through. I'll try and add a little bit more volume to the shape, a bit more texture maybe as well, so you can actually see this great internal structure we've created. But even without a blow dry, I'm sure you can see that A, it's encouraging the texture that we've got in the mannequin, which looks pretty good all on its own actually. But B, we've got this much softer silhouette through the shape. So we've still got our weight on the outline, but this softer internal shape. Okay then, so that's my blow dry finished. I chose not actually to make it too curly in the end. I thought it was better that you understood and you could see the effect of the haircut rather than you seeing a texture kind of fill the shape out. We did put some products in the hair. So first of all, I used some primer, which those of you that already work with it know it's not only the best detangler out there, it's also brilliant for just allowing the hair or the comb or whatever it is, the brush, to glide through the hair. So it's a great kind of facilitator for blow drying. But then to add a little bit more volume and a bit of grip to the hair, I used some mousse as well. So really rich and nicely hydrating. It's got great memory in it as well, but we'll come to that when we do some setting, some hot tool stuff next time. Work through with a vest brush, just really wrap drying the hair, and then a little bit of a finishing brush to help smooth it out, a round brush just to finish it out. But you can see here, if I move that out of the way, the expanded shape we've got. So we've got this really great roundness to the shape internally. You can see there, and that's what gives it that fantastic volume. That's probably a great angle. You can see how the shape and the builds up inside. So it's a really flexible technique. As I say, it's not a haircut. It is just a technique, and you can adapt it to many different lengths, from anything from kind of collarbone, I think, all the way up to something kind of quite short. It works really well. But it's about establishing the weight in the perimeter first, and then building off that, elevating in a consistent, rounded manner to get this great volume that leaves the hair really kind of sexy, makes it move nicely, creates a really free kind of texture. Lots of swing, lots of volume. So it works equally well on fine hair to give volume as it does on very thick hair to control the shape, to stop it looking too triangular. Okay, so I hope you like that. Hope you enjoy using it. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Okay.